I was born with exceptional fertility, while my sister possessed peerless beauty. My sister became the dragon clan's royal consort, and I became the serpent clan's royal consort. For a full century, I bore 9 children consecutively, and when the 9th was born, it leaped through the dragon gate to become a celestial dragon. I became the Serpent King's most cherished treasure, the envied Serpent Queen. For a century, my sister had been desperately trying to conceive. Her beauty faded, her figure grown plump, her complexion sallow. Should she fail to bear a dragon heir, she would be cast out from the dragonkin and reduced to a mere mortal. Worried for her, I visited the dragon realm, only to be pushed into the abyss by her own hand. In the next instant, I inexplicably found myself back on the day I was chosen as the beast consort. My sister quickly claimed the serpent clan, flashing me a grin. "Little sister, it's my turn to birth the divine dragon this time." I instantly realized she had also been reborn, but she had no idea how terrifying the Serpent King's demands for heirs truly were. 1. I never imagined I'd end up being my sister's stand-in. My sister and I are twins, and in our youth we could choose our clan's secret arts freely. She chose peerless beauty, while I selected the innate fertility vessel. From that moment on, our lives diverged like heaven and earth. With her peerless beauty, my sister became the most sought-after bride candidate among all beast clans. In the end, she became the dragon clan's royal consort. My sister shot me a triumphant sidelong glance. "Little sister, you should understand, someone as plain as you is only fit for an ordinary life." Though I was plain-looking, the serpent tribe who valued offspring chose me instead. For a century, I bore the Serpent King 9 heirs. When the 9th was born, the serpent child leapt through the dragon gate straight from the womb, thus ascended as a divine dragon. Divine dragons possess golden immortal forms, surpassing even the mightiest earthly immortal forms of dragonkind. When one attains immortality, even their pets ascend to heaven. The serpent clan reigns supreme, unmatched in glory. Not even the mighty dragon clans could compare. I became the Serpent King's sole consort, enjoying his undivided favor for years. The world knows serpent folk are devoted lovers, how they envy my plain self for bearing such a miraculous womb. Now the maidens of our clan have become coveted prizes among noble houses. Unlike me, though my sister easily became the Dragon Lord's consort, she spent centuries trapped in endless preparations for conception, gorged on fertility tonics. She's lost all her former radiance, her body now bloated with exhaustion. I heard my sister's health is failing. If she fails to bear an heir for the dragon clan again, she'll be exiled and reduced to a mere mortal. Worried sick about her, I went to visit the dragon realm. "Little sister, this was never meant to be your fate. You were just my stand-in, my cast-off." As my sister pushed me into the abyss, she stood at the cliff's edge screaming at me. Her madness is seared into my mind. In an instant, I was back at the dragon clan's beast consort selection ceremony. My sister, who was meant to become the dragon clan's beast consort, suddenly rushed toward the Serpent King, her boneless arms coiled around the ancient serpent's slender neck. She mouthed silently at me. "Little sister, it's my turn to birth the divine dragon now. Become my stand-in once more." So my sister has been reborn too, I see, but her decision plays right into my hands. The Serpent King's demands upon his heirs are beyond mortal comprehension. Since I've been reborn, I'm determined to escape this abyss. I was never meant to be anyone's replacement. This time around, I'll carve out my own path in life. 2. To my astonishment, I became the Dragon King's consort. The Dragon King despised my plain looks. He pinched my chin and sneered. "This king is too soft-hearted. Though your sister couldn't come, you'll never replace her." So he'd been involved with my sister all along. The Dragon King was a notorious womanizer, maintaining a harem of hundreds. Such behavior was commonplace among rulers of all races, even the Serpent King. In my past life, I only learned upon arriving in serpent territory that his concubines and mistresses numbered 40 to 50. I wonder how my sister, who prides herself on her beauty and craves exclusive favor, plans to navigate this predicament. In my second month at the Dragon Palace, I was bestowed the title of Consort Valentina, the clouds herald conception. As I watched the concubines below offering congratulations, their envious glances drew a cold smirk from me, particularly the Dragon King's chief consort. After centuries in the palace, she still hadn't earned the queen's title. Her gaze burned with barely contained fury when it fell upon me. At her signal, one of the Dragon King's lesser wives, Lilith, turned her attention toward me. She smiled sweetly, her eyes brimming with unconcealed mockery. "Oh dear sister, our king is too soft-hearted. He'll bring home any stray that crosses his path. All he wants now is a child. Since you've no other merits to speak of, if you can breed, then breed." Giggle. The other concubines and maids burst into unrestrained laughter. She mocked my plain looks, saying the Dragon King must have taken pity on me to bring me here. On the day of the beast concubine selection, the festivities were in full swing, yet I alone was left abandoned in a corner. The old Serpent King even carried my sister away right before everyone's eyes, while the crowd hurled insults at me. No, though the Dragon King has nominally made me his concubine, the title of true Dragon Queen remains just beyond my grasp. It all depends on whether my womb cooperates. At first, the Dragon King didn't neglect me despite my plain looks. In my 3 months at the palace, he spent most nights in my chambers. Every time leaves me too exhausted to rise from bed, my beloved consort. I've been working so hard, you mustn't disappoint me now, the Dragon King murmured, tilting my chin once more. He was exerting himself forcefully, yet I detected something unusual in his words. Could it be that he knows about our clan's secret arts? Sure enough, his next words confirmed my suspicion. I've heard your clan is remarkable. The moment you conceive, I shall crown you as the Dragon Consort, our Draconic Queen. The title of Draconic Queen is coveted by many. 03, that day. The Dragon King seemed in high spirits. He even permitted me to address him by name. Remember my true name, Orion, ruler of the 4 seas. His joy stems from Lilith's pregnancy. I'm happy too. Truth be told, I've been 2 months pregnant, but Orion's first wife has been sabotaging me, stripping away all my privileges, for these past 3 months. Not once have I received any care after attending to Orion's pulse readings and tonics, though I bear the title of Consort Valentina. Not a single maidservant attends to me. The empty palace springs to life only when Orion visits. Maids, matrons, guards materializing as if from thin air. No, they've all vanished again. Everyone went to congratulate Lilith on her pregnancy. Sitting alone in the palace, I watched the messenger Lilith had sent, specifically to deliver an invitation to me. I recognized this person. She used to be my dear sister's maid. And now she's become one of Lilith's people. Hurry up, Consort Valentina. The maid spoke rudely, eyeing my palace quarters with undisguised disdain. The Dragon King has already arrived. Don't keep everyone waiting. I regarded her coolly, finally recalling her name, Bridget. My elder sister's personal maid was sent to serve Lilith in the Dragon Palace. I'm the only one in the entire Dragon Palace lacking attendance, so it seems my sister orchestrated Lilith's pregnancy, true to her name. Lilith's residence overflows with floral fragrances. Adorned everywhere with pristine lotus blossoms, I was left alone in a deserted corner. Orion didn't even glance my way. All his smiles and tenderness were reserved for Lilith. Just 3 months in, and I'd already fallen out of favor. I could see the smug satisfaction in the eyes of Orion's wives. I lowered my head in silence. 04. The entire Dragon Palace was immersed in joyous celebration. Orion had reigned as the sovereign of the 4 seas for over a millennium. A peerless terrestrial immortal whose dominion lacked only an heir, a man destined to ascend as an immortal, blessed with great fortune, rarely begets offspring. Thus Orion sought not merely an heir, but placed profound hopes upon this child. Stroking Lilith's flat belly, he burst into laughter. Heaven bless our dragon lineage. The corners of my lips twitched slightly as I kept my head lowered. A thought had just occurred to me. At that moment, Lilith let out a knowing chuckle. Well. Seems we've got the king's favorite among us sisters. Every pair of eyes turned toward me. Then there was Orion. His face darkened, and he frowned at me with disdain. Useless, Lilith immediately added. Then Cloud wouldn't be a fitting name for her anymore. Orion was deep in thought. I lowered my head, ignoring the mockery from others and the hatred radiating from Lilith. She wanted Orion to lift my ban. And she finally grasped the meaning behind Cloud. Cloud shares phonetic resonance with pregnancy. This reveals Orion's expectations of me, but Lilith sorely misread the ruler's intentions. Her desperation to crush me made her reckless. If my title can be revoked so easily, it only proves Dragon King Orion was blind from the start. If he actually goes through with this, he'll be slapping his own face. At this moment, Orion was clearly only thinking of himself. After a light cough, he immediately declared, I hereby grant you the title of Consort Lilith. Well, are you satisfied? His tender words made Lilith blush crimson. As Lilith leaned lightly against Orion's shoulder, her eyes locked onto mine before she clenched her right fist with deliberate force. It was as if she was declaring she'd slowly crush me in her palm until I breathed my last, yet inwardly, I smirked. My sister was born with a venomous heart that Lilith actually dared to make a pact with the devil. Doesn't she fear being utterly devoured when the time comes? 05. After returning from Lilith's banquet, I dreamed of being enveloped in golden light for 3 consecutive days. This feeling, I've experienced it before. It was exactly like this when I carried the 9th heir for the old Serpent King in my past life. My heart swelled with sudden joy. The divine fortune of dragonkind truly surpasses all other races. Thus, the dragon child in my womb shall not only possess the golden immortal form, but upon birth will ascend the dragon gate to become a divine dragon, joining the ranks of true celestial beings. I gently caressed my still flat belly. If I can safely endure these 100 years, my vision shall come to pass. In this lifetime, I shall walk a path unlike any before. That's when I remembered that crucial matter. My dear sister possesses a secret elixir that can simulate undetectable false pregnancy. In her past life, she used this trick to secure her position as the dragon consort. Now, she's manipulating Lilith with the same scheme. How cunning of her. My sister probably thinks she's the only one who is reborn. Sure enough, within days, that Bridget came looking for me. She brought someone along, seeking my help. Consort Valentina, I'm the third son of the Serpent King, here to request a treasure from the Dragon Palace. Thorn looked at my desolate, ashen palace and gave a slight start, ignoring the curiosity in his eyes. I took a sip of tea and instantly knew it was my sister's doing again. The treasures you mentioned from the Dragon Palace, those divine weapons, I've never laid eyes on them. I nearly burst out laughing. My sister really has some nerve. Now she's probably pulling that fake pregnancy stunt again, fooled the Serpent King, and is trying to trick me into getting her the divine artifact formation banner under the pretense of protecting her. She must be out of her damn mind. Divine artifacts are called divine for a reason. Not just anyone can wield them. Does my sister really think those scraps of knowledge from her past life are enough to make divine weapons acknowledge her as their master? What a pipe dream. I flatly refused Thorn's request, while Bridget, ever the loyal servant, escorted him all the way out of the Dragon Palace. The very next day after Thorn left the Dragon Palace, the divine weapon formation banner vanished. 6. My king. This lowly servant deserves death for bringing in Lady Valentina's former lover. Bridget wept bitterly as Orion's face turned ashen. Bridget kowtowed frantically, her forehead pounding against the floor until she became a bloody mess. I had no defense to offer. I couldn't prove Thorn wasn't my old flame, nor explain how the divine weapon wasn't stolen by me. They threw me into the ice prison. Locked up with me was Bridget. She produced a warming jade, clutching it openly now that all pretenses were gone. Valentina, you'll always be our young mistress's stepping stone. At home, my parents always favored my sister Serafina. Every mistake she made could easily be pinned on me. Even when my parents knew it was her doing, I'd be the one getting punished. I was just my sister's scapegoat, an insignificant existence meant to take the fall for her. Once, my mother made me kneel in the ancestral hall for 3 days and nights straight, while also forcing me to kowtow 1,000 times to our ancestors. I fell ill for over 2 months straight afterward, yet my mother insisted it was all for my own good. Valentina dear, you'll be married someday. If you can't even win over your own family, how will you ever manage your future husband? In truth, she was just making excuses for my sister's wrongdoing, leaving me to bear the consequences. But all those kowtows to our ancestors paid off. When my sister and I entered the family's sacred grounds together, a distant, desolate voice echoed a warning. Valentina, your gentle nature could be your greatest asset. If you bear the strongest heir for our powerful lineage, you'll ascend to heights beyond your wildest dreams. That's precisely why I chose this innate fertility vessel. In my past life, I never fully grasped the meaning behind those words, but now, reborn into this world, I instantly understood where my ancestors were guiding me. I watched the overly smug Bridget, oblivious to her impending doom. Bridget turned and snarled at me. Valentina, you're walking dead. Hand over your treasures now. With the golden immortal dragon protecting me, what harm could come, let alone some pathetic ice prison? I said coldly, given the Dragon King's temper, you'll likely perish before I do. You're lying. Bridget refused to believe it. The young mistress will save me. From the moment my sister sent her to the Dragon Palace as a double agent, she was already a dead woman. Just then, a troop of crustacean soldiers stormed into the ice prison. Bridget was executed on the spot, her eyes still wide open in death. I was dragged into the abyss. Dragon King Orion sat upon his lofty throne, gazing coldly at me, facing death's door. Have you any last words? Lilith nestled in his arms, slowly drawing Orion's greatsword. The sentient blade hummed with an eerie resonance. Lilith handed the sword to a nearby guard and pointed at me. Kill her, bring me her head, and the king shall reward you handsomely. The guard raised his long sword and swung straight at me. In the blink of an eye, the blade was at my throat. 07. The Dragon King's sword pulsed with an eerie sentience. Its murderous aura shot straight for my throat. The sword's tip halted at my throat, unable to advance another inch. The valiant guard's sword hand trembled uncontrollably. Excalibur suddenly wrenched free and began orbiting around me, like a guardian protecting its loyal king. With a sudden leap, the Dragon King rose and rushed toward me. The Dragon King's eyes lit up with delight. I nodded gently. I'm pregnant. Orion burst into roaring laughter. Our dragonkin shall truly rise to glory. For the prophets foretold that this generation's Dragon King's heir would lead our kind to unimaginable heights when the divine dragon awakens. Each generation shall bear its true god. From this moment, the dragon clan shall truly claim their rightful place in the celestial realm. A single ocean could no longer contain King Orion's boundless ambition. My beloved, come to your king's side, Orion commanded with a wave of his hand, sheathing Excalibur in one fluid motion. Orion then removed it and placed the weapon beside me. My beloved consort's virtues are unparalleled. This sword exists solely to protect you. As Orion spoke, his gaze lingered on my flat abdomen. What he truly sought to protect was the imperial heir. At that moment, Orion's attention shifted to Lilith. She's going to avenge me. Lilith fell to her knees in terror. My king, I acted for the dragon heir in my womb. What if consort Valentina's pregnancy is fake? Orion glared coldly at Lilith before pointing at Excalibur. Excalibur chooses its master by will. Only the mighty bloodline of the Dragon King can command its allegiance. How dare you compare your common womb spawn to a divine heir? Orion has declared that I'm carrying the divine dragon's child. Suddenly, a bound man leaped out from the crowd. He was branded as my illicit lover, Thorn, the third prince of the Serpent King. I knew he was my sister's pawn. My near execution was all part of their scheme. Dragon King, then I too am innocent in this matter. Thorn framed me deliberately, and Orion knows it full well. To him, I'm just some expendable woman he couldn't care less about. His heart belongs to my sister. He originally planned to use Thorn to barter for my sister's return, but now he's had a change of heart. While Orion and Thorn were away for secret talks, the palace I resided in underwent a dramatic transformation. The ancient, time-worn palace was completely revitalized. Palace maids bustled in and out, constantly adorning my chambers with treasures. Outside stood armored guards, ensuring my safety. Getting an audience with consort Valentina these days is quite the challenge, Thorn quipped with a playful bow. Congratulations, consort Valentina, you've finally gotten what you desired. I waved him off casually. Becoming the Serpent King won't be as easy as you think. I knew exactly how ruthless the current Serpent King, Silas, could be. Thorn's face darkened. Though he's my father the king, I likely won't live much longer. In that case, why should I care about this so-called family bond? It's time to fight for myself. I couldn't agree more. In my past life, as the sole consort of the old Serpent King, I drank deeply from the bitter cup of life. After rebirth, memories of the past haunt me constantly. I loathe the Serpent King more intensely than I ever despised my own sister. Taking a deep breath, I revealed to Thorn the greatest secret of the Serpent Clan's dragon ascension. After the initial shock, he accepted it with surprising composure. Even scaling the Dragon Gate requires wading through rivers of blood. A pity, I lack the stomach for it. Having witnessed mountains of corpses and rivers of blood in my past life, I understand these truths all too well. It's not that simple. Even those who leap through the Dragon Gate shall face divine retribution. Such is the fate of the serpent folk. The dragon can fare no better. Yet some refuse to bow to fate. The price was the annihilation of an entire bloodline. Earthbound creatures shall remain earthbound. The cost of reaching for heaven defies imagination. 8. I'm living in absolute comfort. Orion spares no effort to gather rare treasures for me, providing the divine energy required by the dragonborn who serve me. Excalibur constantly hovers by my side, guarding against any potential ambush. I was only defending myself. Why would you harm me? Lilith knelt forcibly before my palace gates, her face deathly pale as she accused me of crimes. Valentina, how long do you think you'll last as the royal consort? The king doesn't harbor the slightest affection for you. Apparently Lilith was close to my sister. She even knew about my parents' disdain and the abuse I endured. She mocked my appearance too. With your pitiful state, you won't survive. The moment you bear the dragon heir, the king will execute you. Only your death will allow him to control the child. Your offspring's sole purpose is to make him the divine dragon. I've heard those words before. The Serpent King who pretended to adore me stroked my belly and said, my future rests in your hands, my queen, and our child. I'll never let history repeat itself. I caressed my still flat belly and waved dismissively at the guards surrounding me. Kill her, how dare you, you insolent wretch. Valentina, you'll die a wretched death. Anyone who covets what's in my womb will meet a terrible end. My dragon heir. Lilith was indeed carrying Orion's dragon offspring, an ordinary one with weak bloodline energy. For the ambitious Orion, whether this whelp could be born held no significance for him or the dragonkin. So when Orion stormed in to confront me, I smiled sweetly and had the handmaid serve him spirit wine. This wine was sent by the king. Its flavor is too strong for my delicate condition. I must leave it for his majesty to enjoy. Orion was thoroughly pleased with my youngest daughter's demeanor. He drank 2 whole jars of wine and completely forgot about Lilith and the dragon prince's demise. The wine's exquisite quality lures Orion to visit my palace several times each month, though my plain face holds no appeal for him. He still feigns concern with practiced courtesy. My dear, Your sister is about to be crowned as the Serpent Clan's queen consort. You must miss her dearly. Let us attend her coronation ceremony. 09. My sister has finally achieved her ambition by any means necessary, ascending to the throne as the Serpent Queen, still the one and only queen, being in the Dragon Palace. I knew nothing of what was happening among the Serpent Clan. Yet Orion seemed to enjoy telling me all about it. Your sister has truly been through so much. Sigh, just thinking about it breaks my heart. It's been months since we last met. Orion must be drunk today. My eyebrows arched slightly. So Orion sneaked off to the Serpent Clan to meet my sister in secret. His obsession with my sister explains why he always says I'm not even fit to be her substitute. Were it not for my unique constitution, he'd have struck me dead long ago. Gazing at Orion's beautiful sleeping face, it's hard to believe such youthful features belong to an ancient monster thousands of years old, and this ancient monster has a heart as black as night. I reached out and gently patted Orion's chest. My lord, I'm afraid I cannot accompany you to the Serpent Clan, because my child refuses. The moment I step beyond the seabed, the child in my womb will drag me back into the depths. Orion was utterly powerless. Yet he still longed to see my sister, as if possessed by some demonic obsession. My love, it seems you won't witness the grand finale. I'll recount every detail when I return. Orion set off for the Serpent Clan with his concubines and a motley crew of underlings in a grandiose procession. I watched his retreating figure with an involuntary sneer. Stroking my belly gently, I murmured, "What a perfect little one you are, such obedience. With Excalibur here, how could there be any disobedience?" I gently stroked Excalibur, feeling waves of mystical energy and an eager, vibrant aura. I patted the blade. "Good lad, help me get this done, and what I promised shall be fulfilled. You must trust me, you've no choice but to trust me now. After all, I'm reborn, I know everything about this Excalibur." The grandeur of my sister Seraphina's coronation as the Serpent Queen, with her jade-like grace and celestial beauty, became legendary across the realm. No woman in this world could rival her beauty, even while attending the grand event. Orion still found time for a secret rendezvous with my sister. I couldn't suppress a smile when receiving Thorn's message. I've seen reckless fools before, but never one this audacious. I immediately sent a reply to Thorn. Right after Orion left the Serpent Clan, rumors about his scandalous affair with my sister, the Serpent Queen, spread like wildfire. Slander. This is outright slander against your king. Orion rushed to my palace the moment he returned to the Dragon Palace. Desperate to clear his name, "My beloved queen, you must trust your king." Of course I believed him. After all, to prove his love for me, he immediately declared me the Dragon Palace's official queen consort, the Dragon King's consort. I rested a hand upon my belly. "My king, our child rejoices with us." As I spoke, my little finger tapped against Excalibur's hilt. I sensed the potent aura of a dragon. Orion became even more convinced that the child in my womb must be the divine dragon. I simply smiled without a word. The days passed one after another. Beneath the waves, no woman holds higher status than I. Were I not so attached to my old palace, Orion himself would likely offer me his Dragon King's abode. Yet troubling news has reached my ears. My sister, whose beauty defies description, has suffered a miscarriage. I laughed so hard I could barely stand straight. Even the tadpole-sized baby in my womb started kicking along. What an absolute joke. How could my sister possibly be pregnant? What she desired was beauty. Every gain comes with a loss. With beauty comes the loss of fertility. After all, bearing children for the demonic beast race isn't something ordinary humans can achieve. The power to bear extraordinary children was granted to me for one purpose: to mend this broken fate. This time, let me walk a different path in life. Another letter arrived from Thorn. Just as I suspected, my sister was never actually pregnant. My sister deceived the Serpent King with a fake pregnancy, but such deception could only last so long. Orion had been secretly gloating to himself. He thought my sister was carrying his child. Orion shed rare tears upon hearing the child was gone. I had someone spread one of the secrets I knew. Bastard, absolute bastard, how dare you deceive me, your king. Orion never expected my sister to use a dead cat as a fake fetus, transferring it into her womb through forbidden arts. To further distance herself from her affair with Orion, she even faked a miscarriage. When the Serpent King Silas and his men uncovered the hundreds of cat fetuses she created, my sister's infertility was also exposed. It was then that Silas truly recognized my worth. He immediately drafted a letter to Orion proposing a wife exchange, accompanied by numerous promised benefits. He even wrote in the letter about my sister's exceptional bedroom skills. Earning praise from the Serpent King himself, a man who'd bedded countless women, Orion fell into deep thought with the letter in hand. He was genuinely considering it. He truly fancied my sister. I'm particularly curious to experience what Serpent King Silas mentioned in his letter. When his attendants brought me the news, I immediately sought out Orion. "Your Majesty, now that my sister has become the Serpent Queen, this calls for celebration." The Dragon Palace will soon host its own coronation for the Dragon Queen. We must invite her as well. I feigned complete ignorance. In his reply to Silas, Orion simply wrote agreed and demanded that my sister be brought to the Dragon Queen's coronation ceremony. Once Valentina bears a divine dragon heir for our clan, you may take her back to the Serpent Tribe. Orion never held even the slightest affection for me. His original plan was to eliminate me after I'd borne his child. Now that I've finally proven useful in other ways, Orion's naturally quite pleased. After learning the whole truth, I sent 2 more jars of fine wine to Orion. As my status rose daily with the dragon heir in my womb, I gained more influence within the palace. Orion grew increasingly fond of the wine I gifted him. When I got too busy and forgot for 2 months, he actually came to my palace specifically to drink. Time flies when you're busy. My coronation ceremony arrived just as my belly began to show. At last, I was reunited with my sister. Despite the Serpent King's relentless torment, my sister's delicate beauty remained undiminished. Sister, you've finally come. She still held her chin high with arrogance, looking at me as if I were mere vermin. Little sister, do you realize neither the Dragon King nor the Serpent King has ever held even a shred of affection for you? I simply smiled. Little sister, do you know why the Serpent King desires you? She wasn't the least bit surprised that I knew, edging closer to me with eerie calm, because I told him you could bear serpent offspring capable of leaping the dragon gate. You'll never guess, I know everything. My gaze turned glacial. In my past life, I bore the Serpent King 9 heirs, all met gruesome ends. That's my final line. A chill ran through my entire being. Seraphina, because you're reborn. My sister's face instantly paled as she stared at me in horror. You. Only then did she realize we were the same. They're all reborn. I told her one more thing. There's much you don't know, but I know it all, like the Serpent Clan's secret of ascending the Dragon Gate. Speaking of this, my hatred could pierce the heavens. That so-called serpent heir ascending the Dragon Gate. The Serpent King fed it with its own brood. In the end, he'll possess that divine dragon. In my past life, I bore 9 sons in succession. The Serpent King slaughtered the first 8. While the 9th was possessed by him to ascend the Dragon Gate, yet heaven denied him this fate. More tragically, my elder sister never lived to see the end. Before the Serpent King could even revel in his triumph, a lightning bolt struck him down, scattering his soul to the winds. The cruelest irony was that I'd already been murdered by my sister, so I never witnessed it firsthand. That's why in this life, I'll personally deliver vengeance. I laid bare every detail of these events before my sister. Her face turned deathly pale as she stared at me in terror. What are you going to do? When I shared those secrets with her, survival was never part of the plan. I ordered the Dragon Palace guards to cut out her tongue and imprisoned her in the abyss. One day before the Dragon Queen's coronation, I revealed my sister's whereabouts to Serpent King Silas. Thus during my flawless coronation, neither the Serpent King nor his breathtakingly beautiful queen made an appearance. Where's your sister? Orion knew she had come looking for me earlier. Just as Orion turned against me for his sister's sake, the furious roar of the Serpent King Silas echoed from the abyss. Orion, I'll kill you. When the group arrived at the abyss, a horrific sight met their eyes. Silas was trapped in the magic formation, covered in blood. Inside the formation lay his long-deceased sister and the corpse of a giant serpent with crimson scales darkening to purple. The serpent's head bore tiny horn buds, showing early signs of transforming into a flood dragon or even a true dragon. Orion, you stole our Serpent Clan's dragon heir and wounded me. This feud ends only with one of us dead. Meanwhile, Silas kept assaulting the magical barrier relentlessly, yet no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't break free. I urgently interjected, my king, perhaps there's some misunderstanding with the Serpent King. We must quickly dispel the barrier to let him out and clarify this matter. You're absolutely right, my love, Orion replied as he immediately began dismantling the barrier. Just as Orion raised his hand to channel draconic energy, his entire body vanished into thin air. Everyone watched in stunned silence as Orion materialized within the magic circle. Orion himself was completely bewildered, but there was no time left for him to wonder. With bloodshot eyes, Silas lunged at him. Die. Though both were kings, Orion held the upper hand. Yet his draconic energy refused to respond. It's you. Orion stared in terror at me standing beyond the law's reach. Drink, I cried out in alarm. My king, be careful. If you want to drink, wait until we're out of here. I've been drugging Orion's wine all along. Though Silas was restrained by the magic array, his overwhelming hatred alone was enough to suppress Orion completely. Everyone just stood there watching. The Dragon King Orion was slain by Silas with just a single palm strike. At that moment, someone recognized this formation. It's the Divine Armament Formation banner, a sacred dragon artifact that can be activated with draconic energy. With just a slight lift of my hand, I dispelled the magic array. Even Silas, the Serpent King, was vaporized into minced flesh. I've come to bid farewell to the new monarch, Thorn said as he entered my palace once more to take his leave. This time, I resided in the Dragon King's main hall. Now I serve as the acting new king of the Dragon King's palace, the supreme authority in all underwater domains. He's thanking me for lending him the Divine Arms Formation banner. Moreover, my ability to wield both the Divine Arms Formation banner and Excalibur secured my smooth succession to the throne. I've also set free the spirit that dwelled within Excalibur. That was his condition for acknowledging me as his master. I promised to grant him freedom once my goal was achieved. This led Orion and everyone in the Dragon Palace to believe I was carrying the Divine Dragon's child, just a dragonborn child with slightly more talent than most, merely possessing the golden immortal physique. But earthly beings remain earthly. Those who dare aspire to heaven shall face divine retribution, unless granted the mandate of heaven. The world has never seen such good fortune, as different as earth and sky, clear as black and white. When Thorn was tricked by his sister into causing trouble at my dragon palace, I made this principle crystal clear to him. Then I revealed a shocking truth to him. Your birth mother, your elder brothers, and your dearest sister, they weren't killed by outsiders. The Serpent King, your own father, murdered them himself, then fed their flesh and souls to his pet serpent. In my past life, my children suffered the same fate. Their extraordinary talents made them restless, each determined to leap the dragon gate rather than live ordinary lives. That's why Silas the Serpent King showed them such unspeakable cruelty when he struck. Amidst his doubts, Thorn still managed to uncover crucial evidence, so I lent him the Dragon Palace's sacred battle formation banner. It was within this very formation that my elder sister was fatally bitten by that serpent on the verge of becoming a flood dragon. I thank the Dragon King for aiding my vengeance and preserving my clan's strength. Should you ever require the Serpent Tribe's assistance, you need but ask. After returning to the Serpent Clan, Thorn successfully ascended to the throne as the Serpent King. In his previous life, he couldn't escape Silas's deadly scheme, but in this lifetime, all of us who were wrongfully killed have survived, and each of us has found our own path forward. Shortly after ascending to the Dragon Throne, I received a letter from my parents. They demanded I relinquish this position to my elder brother. No matter how much time passes, I'll never earn my parents' love, but it matters not. I've shed my mortal coil, severing all ties with them long ago. I immediately sealed the passage between the human realm and the ocean domain. Henceforth, no dragonkin of any bloodline shall lightly intermarry with humans. Monsters should behave like proper monsters, after all. As for that legendary dragon child of mine, the one rumored to be divine, he may yet become the offspring of a true celestial dragon, born a century later. My favorite pastime was playing with mud. Mother, your concubines are being quite unruly. He shook the mud doll in his hand. I made you the handsomest one, and the most obedient too. I looked at the child who barely reached my knees, turned out to be the wisest child. He truly understands the philosophy of survival. I gently patted his little head. In this lifetime, I ascended to the Dragon King's throne and governed the waters better than ever before, and was rewarded by the heavens for it. As the Dragon King, I demand passage to the celestial realm. I crushed the imperial decree with my bare hands. Just another viper's nest. The world is vast beyond measure. Wherever there's water, I reign supreme. I am the sovereign. Roaming this world at will, boundless freedom. My fate lies in my own hands. This is exactly what I wanted. Story 2. The end of the world has come. I was worried about my boyfriend's safety and risked my life to return home from the company. However, my boyfriend, in order to please his brother, wanted to send me away. To preserve my innocence, I jumped off the building, but I was reborn a month before the end of the world. This time, I will definitely make the scumbag pay the price he deserves. 1. It's the end of the world, Emma. What's wrong with you accompanying Owen and the others? I'm your girlfriend. How could you have the heart to send your girlfriend into someone else's hands? They are my good brothers. Letting you accompany them is showing you respect. Don't be ungrateful. Looking at my boyfriend in front of me, I didn't hesitate to jump off the building. At the moment of falling, I heard my boyfriend muttering to himself, "Stop pretending. It won't cost much to play around." Then my mind went blank. Emma, wake up. It's time to go to work. I was woken up by a familiar voice. I opened my eyes in a daze and looked around at the environment. There were no screams, and there was no unpleasant smell of decay in the air. After confirming that I was lying in my own bed, I couldn't help but have doubts in my heart. Didn't I jump off the building and die to preserve my innocence? Why am I in my own home? The familiar face in front of me was none other than the scumbag boyfriend who wanted to send me to his brother. Until I saw the date on my phone, I realized that I had been reborn, a month before the end of the world. Trying to suppress my excitement, I turned my gaze to my boyfriend. My boyfriend before the end of the world was gentle and elegant, and he doted on me like the male protagonist in a movie. But who would have known that all of this was a disguise because he coveted my property? When the end of the world came, he dropped his disguise, he followed his friends and feasted all day long, but only let me eat the leftovers. When there were no supplies left, they drove me out to search for supplies. It was okay if I brought something back. If I came back empty-handed, they would let me starve there. They would punch and kick me at the slightest dissatisfaction and keep torturing me. Even my boyfriend wanted to send me to his friends to be abused. I jumped off the building unwilling to be humiliated. I originally thought he would reflect on his actions, but I didn't expect that my boyfriend not only wasn't sad at all but also mocked me for pretending to be innocent, which affected the relationship between his brothers. It was only at this moment that I completely saw through this scumbag, reborn for another life. I will definitely make him pay double for the suffering I endured in my last life. However, now is not the time. There is still a month before the end of the world. I will make good use of this month to make thorough preparations. I suppressed the anger in my heart and looked at the scumbag boyfriend. I softly told him that I didn't want to get up. I have the habit of staying in bed. If I directly get up to stockpile supplies, it will easily arouse my boyfriend's suspicion. After my boyfriend persuaded me repeatedly, I pretended to be reluctant and went out. On my way to work, I turned and went to the bank. The house my boyfriend and I are living in now is left to me by my parents. It is located in the city center, and the housing price is extremely high. The reason why my boyfriend pretended to be a warm-hearted guy was for this house, but now that the end of the world was coming, the more crowded places were, the more dangerous it was. Plus, the scumbag boyfriend was living here, so I couldn't use this place as a shelter. In order to get enough funds, I directly mortgaged the house to the bank and borrowed 3 million yuan. Then I found an intermediary and bought a single-family villa in installments. This villa is located on the outskirts of the city. The developer originally wanted to turn this place into a high-end community, but due to the decline of the real estate market in the past 2 years, the location of the community was remote, and the housing price was high. Very few houses were sold. I paid a down payment of 1 million yuan and got the key to the innermost villa in the community. I plan to transform this place into a shelter, too. This villa has 3 floors and a small yard. It is located at the innermost part of the community, and the location is extremely hidden. What's more surprising is that there is a small road next to this villa that can accommodate vehicles. The occupancy rate of the community is very low, and there are not many security guards originally. Plus, with this small road that can easily bypass the gate, as long as I am careful, no one will know what I am doing. I looked up and down at the villa and recalled the survival skills in the end-of-the-world novels. Combined with the experience of my previous life, I started to plan how to prepare for the upcoming end of the world. The villa needs to be transformed to be more solid. I also need to stockpile a large amount of water, food, medicine, and other supplies. No one knows when the end of the world will end. Since I have been reborn, I must hold on until the end. I plan to start by transforming the villa. In the end of the world, people's hearts are unpredictable. In order to avoid unnecessary problems, I contacted a group of decoration teams from other places online and asked them to come and work at a price several times higher than the market price, to prevent others from entering the villa. I asked the workers to dig a half-meter deep pit around the villa. I tied steel bars inside and poured concrete to make the foundation. I built 2 brick walls 3 meters high with a distance of 30 centimeters between them on the foundation. After the brick walls were built, I filled the space between them with concrete and put in small sections of steel bars to increase the firmness. I also stretched a half-meter high wire mesh on top, as long as it was electrified. These wire meshes could become an electric fence at any time. Then let's see how others could get in. During this time, I also contacted another construction team to comprehensively reinforce the main body of the villa and installed all kinds of steel plates. I replaced all the doors and windows with bulletproof ones. After installing soundproof cotton, no sound inside the room could be heard outside. If it wasn't for the tight time, I would have wanted to demolish the house and build a bunker. Then, not to mention people getting in, even small caliber shells couldn't break in, but building a bunker takes a long time. I don't have enough time, so I can only try to make more preparations to make the villa safer. Transforming the exterior wall and the interior of the house is a big project. Under normal circumstances, it takes a month to complete, but after I kept adding money, the leading manager promised me that it would be completed within 15 days. This put me at ease, and I started to shift my attention to other aspects. According to the memory in my mind, the water and electricity would be cut off soon after the end of the world. By then, the refrigerator couldn't be used, and even if I stockpiled a large amount of meat and vegetables, they would rot in a short time. I am a natural food lover. Even if I haven't started stockpiling supplies yet, I need to avoid such things in advance to ensure my electricity supply. I found workers who installed solar panels and asked them to install solar panels on the roof. I also ordered several diesel generators and stored a large amount of diesel. Even if there was extreme weather and the solar panels couldn't be used, the electricity generated by the diesel engines could be used by me for a long time. As for the water problem, I had already found someone to dig a well in the yard and installed a water purifier. Now I just need to wait for the transformation of the villa to be completed, and then I can focus all my energy on stockpiling goods. 3. The progress of the matter was much slower than I expected. Just the preliminary preparations took me 20 days. During these days, I had to supervise the work at the villa during the day and go home to deal with my boyfriend at night. Running back and forth not only exhausted my energy but also reduced my efficiency a lot. Seeing that the end of the world was coming, in order to speed up the process, I came up with an idea. I told my boyfriend that I had to go on a business trip for a while. Afraid that he would be bored at home alone, I signed him up for a luxurious 10-day domestic tour group. I also transferred 20,000 yuan to him and told him to have a good time. My boyfriend said that he couldn't live without me and didn't want me to go on a business trip. But when he heard that I was going to cancel the tour group, he immediately changed his face and took the money and packed his things and left. Looking at my boyfriend's hypocritical face, I don't know how I was blind enough to fall for such a person in my previous life. Fortunately, I was reborn, and I won't be so stupid as I was in my previous life. My boyfriend happily got on the tour group's bus with the 20,000 yuan I gave him. Before leaving, he didn't forget to post on his social media to show off, but he didn't mention anything about me at all. But I had already seen through his character and didn't care about these things. Watching the bus leave my sight, a faint smile appeared on my lips. The end of the world is coming. Let's see how long you can be happy. After my boyfriend left, I had no more concerns and began to fully implement my plan. I contacted an intermediary in the community and told him that a friend of mine wanted to rent a house in the community. With the help of money, I quickly got the key to a house on the same floor as mine. Then I took out the item list that I had planned when transforming the villa and started to purchase the supplies needed for the end of the world. I contacted some nearby suppliers and ordered a large amount of water, small hot pots, compressed biscuits, individual combat rations, chocolate bars, and other food from them and asked them to deliver the goods at the agreed time. After placing the order, I rented a van and drove the van to the nearby grain and oil market. I bought 50 bags each of 20 jean bags of rice and flour. I refused the merchant's door-to-door delivery service and transported these rice and flour back in 3 trips. As a senior meat lover, meat was naturally indispensable in my supply list. I went to the slaughterhouse and bought 200 jean each of pork, mutton, and beef. These were all freshly slaughtered, and the meat was still steaming, together with the whole chickens, ducks, and geese. They filled the 3 freezers I just bought. Then, I raided several supermarkets and pharmacies and bought a large number of daily necessities and medicines. I also placed an order online for several compound crossbows and stun batons for self-defense. 2 days passed, and the water, small hot pots, compressed biscuits, and other things I ordered from the suppliers earlier were gradually delivered to the rental house. I divided them into several batches and quietly transported them to the transformed villa. This was an extremely troublesome and laborious thing to do, but it could greatly prevent others from knowing the situation of the villa. It took me 2 days to transport these supplies. I also installed a large number of surveillance cameras outside the villa and included the whole villa in the surveillance range without any blind spots. Seeing that the end of the world was coming soon, in the remaining time, I started the final transformation of the yard. Some things were in the open and could be seen by everyone, but some things could only be known by me alone. Finally, on the day before the end of the world, I completed all the deployments. I used my phone to download a large number of TV shows, novels, and videos on how to make simple weapons. Of course, there were also a large number of online courses of various kinds. Even in the end of the world, I will keep striving, for, on the day the end of the world came, the scumbag came back after having a great time outside for 10 days. Today was Owen's birthday, and they were going to throw a birthday party for Owen in my house. In my previous life, the end of the world came during the birthday party. My boyfriend and his friends survived in the room, and I didn't turn into a zombie immediately because I was working overtime in the company. Later, I risked my life to return home, but who knew that what awaited me was something more terrifying than death? Facing the zombies outside, these 3 big men not only made me eat their leftovers but also forced me, a weak woman, to go out and look for supplies. Every time I brought back fewer supplies, they would punch and kick me, and my scumbag boyfriend not only didn't feel sorry for me at all but also wanted me to accompany his brothers with my body to enhance the relationship between them. Just wait, after tonight, you'll see what's in store for you. After I called my boyfriend and told him that I would stay in the company to work overtime, I turned on the surveillance camera in the room. I installed this surveillance camera when my boyfriend went on a trip, just to monitor my boyfriend's every move after the end of the world, while my boyfriend and his friends were having a wild party in my house. I picked up the ingredients for cooking hot pot, cooked the hot pot, and quietly waited for the end of the world to come. At 6 o'clock in the afternoon, many people finished their day's work and started to go home from work. The sky gradually darkened, and the streetlights came on. The red glow surrounded the gradually disappearing sun, like a blush on a child's face, adding a bit of beauty to the sunset. But at this moment, the originally dark sky lit up again. The sky was clear, and the huge sun hung high in the sky, shining on the whole earth. The streetlights that originally emitted a faint light, under the sunlight, they were like the fluorescence in front of the bright moon. Looking at the suddenly lit up sky, soon someone noticed something was wrong. Look at the sun, there are actually two suns in the sky at the same time. Many people initially thought that someone was joking. How could there be two suns at the same time? It wasn't until many people looked up at the sky that they rubbed their eyes in disbelief. There were actually two suns hanging in the sky at the same time. Before these people could recover from their shock, the newly appeared sun turned blood red in the blink of an eye. The light it emitted shone on the pedestrians. Many people were like being irradiated by X-rays. Their whole bodies, even their bones, exuded a strange red color. This was the precursor to the end of the world. Soon, those people illuminated by the strange red light would turn into man-eating monsters, that is, the so-called zombies. They would attack the people around them like crazy and bite them, and those who were bitten would also turn into bloodthirsty meat-eating monsters in a very short time. It wouldn't be long before the whole earth would become a battlefield of blood. The occupancy rate of the villa area was very low, and it was far from the city center. After the end of the world, there were only occasional screams, and soon there was no sound. The smell of blood drifting over from the urban area gradually filled the air. However, with the experience of my previous life, I quickly got used to the smell. I turned on the computer and brought up the surveillance footage of my boyfriend's place. In the footage, my boyfriend and Owen were already scared senseless by the scene outside the window. They were slumped by the window, looking as if they had lost their souls. And there was vomit all around them. In my previous life, they were also scared out of their wits by the zombies outside. They didn't dare to go out. After finishing the food stored at home, they forced me to go out and search for supplies. However, long before my boyfriend came back from his trip, I had already taken all the edible things at home back to the villa. They would run out of food in less than 2 days. I closed the computer screen, looked at the boiling pot bottom, and put in the mutton and fatty beef that I liked. Soon, I was attracted by the aroma of the hot pot and started eating. 5. A day had passed since the end of the world broke out. There was still no movement around the villa. Looking at the silent property management group chat, there wasn't even anyone to talk to. I seriously suspected that I might be the only one still alive in this community. In the group chat of the community where my boyfriend was, messages kept popping up. There were quite a few survivors. They were describing the tragic situation they saw in the group, while being glad that they were still alive. They were looking forward to when the relevant departments would send someone for rescue. My boyfriend's call came earlier than I expected. Just after a day, he called me. I answered the phone, and my boyfriend's voice came through. "Emma, where are you now? Are you safe? I'm really worried about you. Come back quickly. It's not safe to be outside alone." After hearing my boyfriend's words, I almost couldn't help laughing. It had been 24 hours since the end of the world broke out, and he finally called me. If he really cared about me, what was he doing before? In my previous life, I believed his lies. I went through great hardships to escape from the company. I thought everything would be okay after I got home, but in the end, I was treated inhumanely by my boyfriend. In this new life, there's no way I would believe his lies. I guessed that he must have something else to say. Sure enough, before I could speak, he continued, "By the way, do you have any food over there? Remember to bring some back when you come. We're running out of food at home." I knew that his concern for me was fake, and what he really wanted was for me to bring him something when I went back. He really had a good imagination, but it was just the beginning. A meaningful smile appeared on my face. "Honey, I'm trapped in the company. Is there no food at home? Just hold on a bit. I'll find a way to send you some food right away." After hearing my words, my boyfriend perfunctorily said a few words and immediately hung up the phone. They shouldn't have finished the food so quickly. I was a bit puzzled. In order to celebrate his good brother Owen's birthday, my boyfriend really spent a lot of money and bought a lot of things. He spent more money on Owen's birthday than on mine. I clicked on the surveillance and saw that my boyfriend was sitting on the sofa eating with Owen and the others, while stuffing food into his mouth. He was showing off to Owen and the others. What did I tell you? She's a stupid woman. I could easily coax her into spending money on me with just a few words. Now, with just one word from me, she'll come and bring us supplies. Just wait and see. After she comes, I'll make her go out and search for supplies for us every day. That way, we'll have both food and a woman to play with. Hi, really hi. A lewd smile appeared on Owen's face, looking at the people in the surveillance. A hint of coldness appeared on my face. Do you really think you can treat me the same way as in the previous life? Just wait and see. As time passed, the situation that the survivors had to face became more and more dangerous. At first, many people were waiting for the relevant departments to come for rescue, but after several days without any news, everyone realized that they could only rely on themselves in the days to come. Desperate voices began to appear in the community group chat. Some people said that they had no food at home, and some people, having a mental breakdown, committed suicide after writing a suicide note. Many survivors went out to search for supplies before they could even get out of the community gate. They gloriously became part of the zombie horde. My phone rang again. When I saw the familiar number, I knew it was my boyfriend calling. While answering my boyfriend's call, I turned on the surveillance, and the footage of my boyfriend's place appeared on the screen. Compared to the vitality they had a few days ago, my boyfriend and the others were lying on the sofa dejectedly. There were food packaging all over the table. Emma, when are you coming back? Where did the rice and flour at home go? Why is there nothing left? There are too many zombies outside the company. I'm still trying to find a way to get out. Didn't you not like cooking at home? I threw away all the rice and flour because I thought they were about to expire. I pretended to be wronged and explained to my boyfriend, but before I could finish speaking, my boyfriend's angry roar came from the other end of the phone. Who told you to throw them away? Now there's no food at home. Do you want to starve me to death? However, as soon as he finished speaking, it seemed that he thought of something, and his tone immediately became gentle. Emma, come here quickly. I'll starve to death if you don't come. Okay. I hung up the phone and couldn't help but curse in my heart. If you're about to starve to death, why don't you go out and search for supplies? I must have been blind in my previous life to have taken a fancy to him. 6. On the 6th day after the end of the world broke out, I made spicy shrimp in the villa. The phone rang again. It was my boyfriend calling. I deliberately turned off my phone for the past 2 days, and my boyfriend couldn't get through. After answering the call, scolding came from the other end. You bitch, what have you been doing these days? You didn't answer the phone. Why haven't you come to bring me food? Do you want to starve me to death? In the 2 days when I didn't answer the phone, my boyfriend rummaged through the house but didn't find any food. They had been hungry for 2 or 3 days and were lying on the bed without even the strength to turn over. When they saw that I answered the phone, they immediately started roaring. It was as if they had used up all their strength. Before they could finish speaking, they kept gasping for air. Seeing the situation of these 3 people, I simply stopped pretending. I sent them photos of the spicy shrimp and all the supplies in the room. My boyfriend's voice came from the other end of the phone again. You slut, did you know that the end of the world was coming and prepared supplies in advance? Yes, so what? I put the peeled shrimp into my mouth and replied to him, tell me where the supplies are quickly, or I'll kill you. Do you have the ability to do that? I sneered in my heart. Let's see who will kill who first. Through the phone, I told Owen and the others that there were some supplies I had hidden in the room. My boyfriend said that he wasn't afraid of pain since he was a child. I didn't believe it and wanted to test it. If anyone could make my boyfriend feel severe pain, I would tell them where the hidden supplies in the room were. Owen and the others had been so hungry that their eyes were shining. As soon as they heard there was food, they immediately perked up and walked up to my boyfriend. Owen, don't listen to this bitch. We're brothers. Who's your brother? Owen looked disdainful. Ignoring the terrified expression on my boyfriend's face, he slapped my boyfriend. The huge force left a deep slap mark on my boyfriend's face, and red liquid flowed out of the corner of his mouth. Looking at my boyfriend who was covering his face and moaning, his other friend named Peter was not to be outdone. Ignoring my boyfriend's pitiful pleas, he grabbed his hand and smashed an ashtray on it. With a scream, my boyfriend's body twisted in pain, convulsed, and cold sweat kept breaking out on his forehead, but it wasn't over. Seeing this, Owen was afraid that his beating was too light to get the food. He used all his strength and kicked my boyfriend in the groin. Another scream rang out, and my boyfriend fainted from the pain. Looking at the scene on the surveillance, I nodded in satisfaction. After leaving them with the words, "Continue tomorrow," I told them a place where there was a pack of instant noodles. When Owen and the others fought over a pack of instant noodles, I looked at my fainted boyfriend and sneered. These are your good brothers. In their eyes, you're only worth a pack of instant noodles. I closed the surveillance and sat on the chair on the balcony. The night was long, and only a few stars hung lonely in the sky. A gentle breeze blew, and my hair fluttered, giving a bit of artistic conception. I watched the military industry videos on my phone and made Molotov cocktails step by step according to the steps shown, under the light. 7. Early the next morning, before 8 o'clock, the phone rang. Looking at the familiar number, I didn't bother to answer it. I got up, turned on the computer, and brought up the surveillance footage of my boyfriend's place. My boyfriend in the surveillance was listless and lifeless, lying on the ground and moaning. The big handprint on his face still hadn't faded, and his fingers that were smashed were a bloody mess. After the blood dried, his 5 fingers stuck together, probably because I didn't answer the phone. Owen and Peter were quite angry. The moment they hung up the phone, they vented all their anger on my boyfriend. Peter kicked my boyfriend in the stomach, and my boyfriend immediately covered his stomach and let out screams, but he wasn't satisfied. He punched my boyfriend in the face, and several of my boyfriend's front teeth were knocked out. Looking at my boyfriend's pitiful appearance through the surveillance, I didn't feel any pity in my heart. My boyfriend had punched and slapped me in my previous life, and now it was his turn to feel it, probably because they were too hungry. Peter and the others quickly got tired of beating my boyfriend and sat on the bed gasping for air. I couldn't let them rest. When they were just about to sit on the bed to rest, I called them. Owen and the others answered the phone immediately. Then they started torturing my boyfriend again and asked me where the food was. I sneered and directly told them, "I have plenty of food. Do you think you deserve the food just like this?" The 2 in the surveillance were stunned for a moment. Then they immediately understood the meaning of my words and punched my boyfriend even harder. Each punch was more vicious than the last. They didn't stop until they were exhausted. "Too light. If it's still like this, you won't get any food." I pretended to be angry and said. Owen and the others were intimidated by my words, afraid that I wouldn't give them food anymore. A fierce look appeared in their eyes. The 2 found a pair of pliers from somewhere. They held my boyfriend's body and tortured him. My boyfriend fainted from the intense pain and was woken up by the pain again and again. "There's a bag of food behind the wardrobe. Go and get it." After hearing this news, the 2 rushed over as if they had found a treasure. They moved the wardrobe and found the food I left for them. "You bitch, it's dog food. You actually gave us dog food." The scolding of the 2 came from the other end of the phone. I hung up the phone as if I didn't hear it. I deliberately put the dog food there. They had beaten me a lot in my previous life and made me go out to search for supplies on an empty stomach. These beasts, weren't they just fit to eat dog food? The 2 called me again soon. I didn't bother to answer their phone calls and directly turned on the flight mode. Sitting in front of the computer, I watched the 2 on the screen and ate crayfish. Owen and the others had only eaten a pack of instant noodles these days. After being hungry for so long, they didn't care if it was dog food. They stuffed it into their mouths crazily. They almost choked several times because they ate too quickly. In fact, the dog food contained quite comprehensive nutrients. I regretted giving them the dog food. It was a waste to put anything into the mouths of these scumbags. 8. On the 8th day after the end of the world came, in the past 2 days, Owen and the others had called me countless times after turning off the flight mode. As soon as the phone signal was restored, hundreds of missed calls popped up. Every time I didn't answer the phone, Owen and the others would vent their anger on my boyfriend and gave him a good beating. I was so annoyed that I directly blocked my boyfriend's phone number. Owen and the others in the surveillance had already finished the dog food and were so hungry that their eyes were black. As for my boyfriend, after being tortured by the 2 for such a long time and not eating anything, he was almost out of breath. Compared with the peaceful life in the villa area, the situation in the community was not optimistic. Many people didn't dare to go out to search for supplies, but they set their sights on the survivors in the community. Several survivors said in the group that their supplies had been stolen by others, but I knew that this was just the beginning. There was a group of criminals who escaped from prison in the community. At first, they were still a bit afraid and only dared to steal other people's supplies. Later, they became more and more lawless and directly regarded killing as a pleasure. In my previous life, I didn't know how many survivors in the community died at their hands. However, the appearance of this group of people was just what I wanted. My alternate account had long been lurking in the community owner group. When I saw that everyone was worried about the food, I casually said that I seemed to have seen the family on the 13th floor of Building 6 buy a large amount of supplies before the end of the world. Did they know that the end of the world was coming in advance? This comment stirred up a lot of discussion. As soon as my message was sent out, many people in the group said that they had also seen it, and there were several truckloads of supplies. This was why I deliberately placed the transfer station in the community. I wanted others to know that I had stockpiled a large amount of supplies. However, these people only knew that I had directed the workers to move things home truck by truck. They didn't know that I had quietly transported these supplies out. Many people in the group privately messaged me, begging me to share some supplies with them. I ignored all these messages, which made them even more convinced that I had a large amount of supplies in my hands. I just waited for them to come to my place. Just as Owen and the others had eaten and regained some strength, there was a knock on the door. Although the two of them didn't know the news in the group, they instinctively became cautious. After communicating with the people outside several times, they opened the door. The moment Owen and the others opened the door, 4 strong men rushed in. They were the group of escaped criminals in the community. After entering the room, they directly held down Owen and the others and started searching the room, but there was nothing in the room except the bloody floor and my boyfriend's body. "Tell me, where is the food?" The leader of the group put a machete on Owen's neck and asked. Owen trembled and told them that he had no supplies, but the leader kicked him to the ground. 9. What are you talking about? How could you have survived until now without food? The man squeezed Owen's chin hard, seeing Owen grimacing in pain. He continued to ask, "Stop pretending. Many people saw that you had stocked up a large amount of supplies before. Hand them over now, and I'll spare your life. Otherwise, just wait for death. There's really no food. The reason we've survived until now is because Owen didn't dare to tell these escaped criminals the truth about eating people. Beat them until they talk." At the leader's order, several escaped criminals punched and kicked the two of them. The screams lasted for a long time before they stopped. "There's really no food. We haven't eaten anything in the past 2 days. You're lying to the devil." The man sneered and smashed a bench on Owen's head. Red liquid flowed down from Owen's head. I don't know if he was beaten stupid, but Owen seemed to remember something and said to the leader of the escaped criminals, I know where there are supplies. That woman must have them in her hands." Then he told the group of escaped criminals the whole story. "It's true that the little bitch has supplies, but do you know where she lives? I know. That woman thought she was smart and sent us photos to show off, but she didn't know that the watermark on the photos had the address. I know where this place is, but I didn't dare to go there because of the zombies outside." After Owen finished speaking, he didn't forget to show the leader of the escaped criminals the photos I had sent them to show off. "Okay, I'll trust you this time. If there are no supplies at the place you mentioned, you know what will happen to you." The leader of the group of escaped criminals looked at Owen fiercely and said, "They cut my boyfriend's body into pieces and threw them down to attract the zombies." Before leaving, Owen looked at the surveillance I had secretly set up, his eyes full of homicidal intent, as if he was telling me, "Just wait. I will make sure you die a horrible death." I didn't care about this at all. There were so many zombies outside that most likely they wouldn't be able to reach this place, even if they did. So what? I sat in front of the computer, picked up the instant coffee I had just made, and couldn't help but raise the corners of my mouth and laugh. However, I really underestimated the strength of this group of escaped criminals. In just half a day, this group of escaped criminals appeared in front of the surveillance. Only Peter was missing. Presumably, he was eaten by the zombies. However, when these people broke in, they would find that the place they came to was just an empty warehouse and there was nothing in it. The watermark that Owen saw was something I deliberately photoshopped on. The purpose was to lead them here. The roar of the car attracted a large number of zombies. After 2 of the escaped criminals died, these people finally pried open the door, looking at the empty warehouse. The few people were completely dumbfounded. After putting in so much effort, what they found was just an empty warehouse with nothing in it. They were surrounded by hundreds of zombies outside, and there was no way they could go back. The surviving escaped criminals vented all their anger on Owen. After a round of punching and kicking, Owen soon lost his breath. Watching the last of my enemies die, I slowly let out a sigh of relief. In my previous life, they beat me at every turn and made me go out to search for supplies. Now they finally tasted the same medicine. As for the 2 escaped criminals, they were not good people originally. Being trapped here would make the survivors and the community a little safer. I sighed and stopped paying attention to the things outside. I opened the online courses I had downloaded earlier and started my study life. I don't know when the end of the world will end. Having more skills doesn't weigh me down. Maybe after the end of the world, I can even take the civil service exam or the postgraduate entrance exam. Sigh. I really don't want to be a hardworking wage earner anymore. 10. On the 36th day after the end of the world came, the water and electricity outside had been cut off for a long time, but because the villa had solar power after the transformation, I didn't notice it until the water and electricity had been cut off for a long time. In the vegetable garden, the small green vegetables I planted earlier had already grown 2 green leaves. I believe that in a short time, I will be able to eat fresh vegetables. After the communication was cut off, I tried to receive radio signals with a radio every day, but all that came out of it was white noise. Just as I was about to focus on my study, 3 figures appeared in the surveillance outside the villa. Why do these people look so familiar? Looking at these people through the surveillance footage, after looking them up and down for a long time, I recognized that they were the workers who helped me with the renovation earlier. Aren't they all from other provinces? Why are they here? Looking at the three figures in the surveillance, I was a bit puzzled. When renovating, I spent a lot of money and specifically found a renovation team from other provinces. After the project was completed, I settled the payment with them immediately and let them go back. Why are they here? It couldn't be that they knew my place was safe and came all the way here. If that was the case, the plot would be a bit too cheesy. Just as I was about to pick up a weapon and get ready to fight them, the conversation of the three people came from the surveillance. I said why this little girl spent so much effort transforming this house. She probably knew these monsters would appear. Fortunately, we didn't go back immediately after the work was done. Otherwise, how could we have found this place? The one who spoke first was Manager Reed, the leader of the construction team. He was a small leader of the construction team. He was fierce to his subordinates on weekdays and was a person who only cared about money. If she knew in advance, she must have stocked up a lot of things. As long as we go in, the things inside will be ours. As soon as Manager Reed's voice fell, a voice echoed. The person who spoke was Silas, a subordinate of Manager Reed. This isn't very good, is it? It's not easy for that little girl, a third voice sounded, but before his voice had just fallen, Manager Reed's scolding came from the surveillance. You, Theodore, are so nagging all day long. What's not good about it? She has so many supplies in her hands. Do I deserve to be robbed by you just because I have supplies in my hands? Looking at the few people under the surveillance, I couldn't help but clench my fists. Not to mention the 3-meter-high wall. And there is an electric fence on the wall. Can you even get in? Even if you do, it's not certain who will live and who will die. I looked at the compound crossbow in my hand, picked up the Molotov cocktails I had prepared earlier, and got ready to fight these people. Maybe they also knew that it was not easy to get in with such a high wall. After looking around outside the villa, they left. But I always felt that they wouldn't give up so easily. At night, there was suddenly some movement in the surveillance outside the door. I got up to check and found that it was Theodore who was standing outside the door, waving frantically at the surveillance. After confirming that I had seen the surveillance footage, Theodore told me that Manager Reed and Silas were going to deal with me and asked me to be careful. They came to scout the place today. After going back, they discussed the countermeasure and planned to come back in 3 days. He didn't want to be involved in this matter. After revealing this news to me, he would leave here. At the same time, he also told me why they were here. It turned out that after taking on my project, they thought the labor price here was high. In order to earn more money, they didn't go back. As a result, they couldn't find any work until the end of the world came. They didn't have any food in their hands. When they were really hungry, they thought of this place. After listening to Theodore's description, a warm feeling welled up in my heart. In the end of the world, how many people would kill just for a bite of food? There aren't many people like him who still think of others and stick to justice. However, I couldn't let him in just because of his words. After sending him supplies for half a month with a drone, I let him leave here. 11. I don't know when the surveillance outside the villa was damaged by Manager Reed. Although I had expected this situation and installed pinhole cameras in many hidden places, it was not enough to cover the entire area. 3 days passed in a flash. Manager Reed and Silas appeared in front of the surveillance, carrying ladders and bags of things. The things in the bags should be the preparations they made to get in these days. And Theodore, who came to deliver the message that day, really didn't appear in the surveillance. It seems he didn't lie to me, I muttered in my heart. Then I focused all my attention on Manager Reed and Silas. I saw them put on insulating gloves and took out a wire with an iron hook at the front from the bag. They set up the ladder against the wall. What are they going to do? Looking at their actions, I was a bit confused. The fence was 3 meters high. It was true that they could climb up with the ladder, but there was also an electrified wire mesh on it. They couldn't be so stupid as to climb over directly, could they? At this moment, a bold guess emerged in my mind. They were holding a wire with an iron hook. Could it be that they wanted to hang the iron hook up and divert the electricity from the wire mesh? If they could really divert the electricity, just the wire on the wall couldn't stop them. This was beyond my knowledge. To prevent any accidents, I immediately picked up the compound crossbow, walked to the balcony on the 3rd floor, and aimed the crossbow at the 2 people outside the wall. As long as they showed their heads a little, I would shoot the crossbow bolts. However, the people outside seemed to be waiting for something. Silas stood on the ladder and didn't take any further action. Time passed by minute. Because of the tension, beads of sweat kept falling from my forehead and hitting the ground with a patter. A bad premonition welled up in my heart. I always felt that the actions of these 2 people outside were very strange. No, the whole thing seemed very strange. I carefully recalled every detail from the time I saw these people until now. There didn't seem to be any kind-hearted people in the construction team at that time. Moreover, Theodore said that they had been hungry for a long time, but looking at the mental state of the 3 of them, they didn't look like they had been hungry at all. What about the other people in the construction team? Some things were fine if I didn't think about them, but if I thought about them carefully, I would find many unreasonable things. Theodore definitely wasn't a good person, otherwise, he couldn't have survived until now. As for why Manager Reed and Silas didn't take further action, either they were trying to attract my attention, or they were waiting for a suitable opportunity. Just then, I suddenly heard some movement behind me. Then a figure jumped down from the wall. At that moment, I finally understood. The reason they didn't attack was that they were waiting for this person behind to sneak in. However, these people really underestimated me. The moment the black figure jumped in, a scream rang out. I knew that the trap I set had come in handy. After preparing all the supplies, I worked alone in the villa for 5 days. I dug all the ground within 3 meters of the fence into traps. I placed half-meter-long sharp iron spikes in the traps and covered the traps with sod. The moment the black figure jumped down, Death had already prepared his scythe. I looked outside through the surveillance. The person pierced by the iron spikes was Theodore, who came to deliver the message before. It turned out that the reason he came to deliver the message was to gain my trust and make me open the door and let him in. Then he would cooperate with Manager Reed and the others from the inside and outside to take away my supplies, but I was too cautious. I only gave him food for half a month and didn't fall for it, so they played the trick of pretending to do one thing while actually doing another. They let Manager Reed and Silas attract my attention, and he took the opportunity to climb in from the back. But he didn't know that the yard was already full of traps I had set. Perhaps seeing that there was no movement from Theodore's side, Manager Reed and Silas lost their patience and took action. They hung the iron hook on the wire on the electrified wire mesh and then took out scissors and started cutting the wire mesh. Didn't I jump off the building to preserve my innocence? The crossbow bolt flew out, scraping across Silas's face. It didn't hit the vital part, but it made Silas accidentally fall off the ladder, taking this opportunity. I quickly lit the Molotov cocktails I had prepared earlier and threw them out. The flames made Silas and Manager Reed under the ladder howl. They rolled on the ground, trying to put out the flames on their bodies. The screams and the smell of blood immediately attracted the attention of the zombies. In 2s and 3s, the zombies pounced towards the side. Before the 2 of them could react, the zombies bit them to death. After that, I used a drone to lead the zombies at the door away. I dragged Theodore's body out and threw it outside, and then started my time of studying the online courses again. Later, although some scattered survivors came here, when they saw the tall wall and the electrified wire mesh, they were deterred and left here. 12. On the 386th day after the end of the world came, a team wearing camouflage uniforms appeared outside the community. After confirming their identities, I got in touch with them. They told me that the country had developed a vaccine and it was in the experimental stage. It wouldn't be long before it could be used. The zombies were also being gradually eliminated. It was only a matter of time before normal order was restored. They asked me to be patient for a while. I shared half of the supplies in my hands with them and at the same time started study by doing practice questions with a higher intensity. The exam, here I come.